let me introduce you to my new shawl pattern called Abraxas. Let's quickly wrap this here around my neck. Now, more than a year ago, I wore this exact shawl here on my channel, and I received endless messages asking for a pattern, and I always had to embarrassingly reply, well, I'm still working on it. But today I finally published it. As you can see, it is a beautiful triangular shawl with stunning mosaic panels in between. There are also some Latvian braids here to spice things up and keep things interesting. You can wear it around your neck like so, but this shawl is actually quite large, so you can also wrap it around your shoulders like so and almost wear it like a cardigan or so to keep you warm on a chilly winter night. Now, before we go into all the details like techniques you need to know, materials you need and so on, and show you some close-ups, let's talk about where you can get it first. The pattern is available as a digital download on Ravelry and Etsy, and you will receive a tech-edited PDF with 10 pages full of close-up pictures of all the important details and a time-proven mix of line-by-line written instructions and simple colorwork charts for the mosaic panels. You will find the links in the description below. The pattern is $6.99 plus tax, obviously, but hearken, in the first 48 hours only, you get 20% off with the discount code Abraxas20. If you have been following me for a while longer, you probably know that I only discount my patterns once when I publish them and then never again. So be fast and don't miss this chance, it won't come again. And if you are watching this video a while later, subscribers of my Patreon account on the highest tier get this pattern for free. And of course, access to the archive with many more patterns. So in a way, this is actually the better bargain anyway. But let's show you some more details of the pattern. So as you can see, I knitted two versions of this shawl. One here in this beautiful Wollmeise pure yarn on 2.5mm needles. So this is a thicker fingering weight sheep wool yarn with a yardage of 350 meters per 100 grams. And then I also knitted the shawl here in this slightly heavier quality with this wonderfully soft, this really feels like a dream, like this wonderfully soft possum yarn from New Zealand and on 3mm needles, so this one is quite a bit larger. I mainly did this to show you different versions of the shawl and that it works with a wide variety of similar yarns. Now the yardage of this, it's called Lana Kauri, is 380 meters per 100 grams. And let's wrap this around my neck again. I'm also currently working on a third one with this, also in a Wollmeise yarn, with this beautiful blue color. Because, you know, there are Greek motifs involved, and I thought let's pick the Greek colors, which are incidentally the Bavarian colors, and I am from Bavaria, so I thought this would be quite fitting. Of course, this pattern has also been thoroughly test knitted, and that was one of the reasons why it took me so long to publish it. On Ravelry, you can see the pictures and color choices of my test knitters for further inspirations, and they sure did produce some stunning projects. They really blew me away. And really, test knitting is always very, very important for me, because I feel like if you pay money for a pattern, I absolutely want to ensure that the instructions are flawless and work for any knitter. And in fact, if you look very closely at my instructions and compare them with my first sample here, you might be able to notice that there are small differences, tiny differences, because together with my test knitters, I optimized the instructions for knitting ease and a smoother experience, so not only super advanced knitters may tackle this pattern. And equally as important, personally, I am obsessed with details, and I hate it when patterns are a little bit too vague on these details. So here are a couple of examples. So the pattern includes clear instructions how to handle the transitions of the mosaic panels here in the center and on the edges for a balanced and neat look. And also, these central increases here, you will increase along the center, and they have been optimized so they look nice across the various different techniques, so stockinette stitch, garter stitch, mosaic, and so on, and also don't have any holes. I just hate that as well. And also, as you can see, this is a triangular shawl, and you will have to pick up stitches from this edge here only. You can simply continue, a bit difficult to show. So this edge here you can simply continue, but you will have to pick up stitches from this edge here. And this edge here has been optimized so that the pickup line really looks nice and neat, because there are obviously increases involved, and sometimes this also looks very sloppy and homemade, and I just tried to optimize this as best as possible to get a neat and nice edge. And of course, the edge is there because this is stockinette stitch, and who wants a shawl that curls in on the edges and drapes kind of weirdly? So here you have an edge of ribbing finished with an I-cord. Now I also want to show you the back side, because there's nothing I hate more if a pattern skips or glosses over the back side. Of course, this is color work, or parts of this shawl is color work, so the back side will never look as neat as the front side. This is not double knitting, and I'm not sure you want to knit a shawl this size in double knitting anyway. But if you ask me, what's important here is that when you wrap the shawl around your neck like so, and you don't drape these ends here perfectly, you still want it to look nice and neat, and not a hot mess here peeking through. So I feel showing the backside here, let's show you this backside here as well. Showing the backside is always important, and I do feel it still looks quite pleasing. Now let's talk a little bit about the difficulty. I would say this project is best for intermediate knitters and not necessarily for utter beginners. Mostly because it's a large project and it takes me around 40 hours to complete. For some of my test knitters, it has been 60 or even 80 hours. It's a fine gauge and a big project, so knitting speed does become a major factor. At the same time, most of my test knitters also reported that they thoroughly enjoy knitting it because it's such a good balance between interesting bits like, the mosaic panels, the Latvian braids, and so on, and parts where you can just watch the TV and knit almost without watching. Most of the pattern is also very intuitive, and the repeat is very easy to remember. As I said, most of the pattern is stockinette stitch with garter stitch in between. You will need to know how to do mosaic knitting, but that is possibly the easiest color work technique because you never need to work with two yarns at the same time. You can see this. Just one yarn here attached. If you know how to slip stitches, then you basically know how to do mosaic knitting. You will also need to know how to knit a Latvian braid, and you need to pick up stitches from one edge only. Now the good news is I have full step-by-step tutorials for all of these techniques here on my channel and over on my blog. So Even if you don't know how to do that, you are covered. And I even recorded a special video of me knitting possibly the most difficult part of this shawl that is also included in the pattern. So if you are an advanced beginner that is looking for a challenge, it could be an option. Besides, if you remember to ask your questions in public, so either under this video or over on my blog, then you probably know that I always answer them in time. Again, the pattern is available on Etsy and Ravelry, and you will find the links in the description below. Do it now, pause the video for a second, lest you forget to do it later on. And if you would like to see more pictures and read through all the details one more time, you can also do that over on my blog. I also, list my gauge and the overall dimensions of the shawls and so on. That link is also part of the description. Now you might wonder why the name Abraxas. Quite honestly, I let my patrons decide. We had a lovely discussion with many beautiful suggestions, and that was the name that received the most upvotes and was still available. Now, by the way, if you would like to be part of my inner knitting community, then remember, if you subscribe to my Patreon account on the highest tier, you will receive this pattern and actually many more for free. The link can also be found in the description. Another question you might have is whether you can knit this shawl in a smaller size. So first of all, I knitted two versions, and this version here was knitted with 2.5 millimeter needles. And this one here was the heavier quality and 3 millimeter needles, and you can clearly see it's quite a bit larger. So in the first step, you can always toy around with the needle size and the yarn to achieve a larger or smaller shawl. And then of course, you will finish with these two stripes here. And you could leave out one or two of these stripes after the final mosaic panel and then just do the edging right away. This is also an easy way to adjust the size. Experienced knitters could also, so you have all these stripes here and they're always 20 rows high, and you could do them 18, 16, 14 or whatever. However, this is better left to experienced knitters because it will mess up here the transition of these mosaic panels in the center, and you would have to adjust the charts, and typically beginners will have a hard time doing that, but for an experienced knitter that is definitely possible. Other than that, I invite you to ask your questions below this video. Write a comment and I'll be more than happy to answer whatever concerns or difficulties you might have. So that was Abraxas, my new shawl design. In the next YouTube episode, I have a very exciting tutorial planned on continental knitting like you've never seen it before. So definitely stay tuned, and as always, happy knitting and enjoy the rest of your day.